Good morning, and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we are going to talk about bass fishing. I didn't realize it when we left Thursday, but it was quite the weekend in professional bass fishing. We had a chalice that was won by over in I should have done more research on that one. I saw Scott Martin had it. USA Bassin, the Black Bass World Championships in Portugal, and a little come from behind victory for Team USA. We had Scott Canterbury, David Fritz, Scott Martin, Freddie Boom Boom Rambanis, DC, Dustin Connell, Jacob Wheeler, a dream team that went over to Portugal. They talk, I think they had 73.57 pounds, and then day one was a little bit worse than day two. Anyway, 20 countries, Team USA comes back and wins. They win the Golden Chalice. We also had a back-to-back Bass Nation champion, which I believe is the first time that has ever happened. Will Davis. We'll bring in our today's guest. I want to know if he knows what's up, Jordan Lee.
How's it going, guys?
Good. Are you familiar with Will Davis? He's a Bama dude, isn't he?
Yeah, man. I can't remember the last time I've talked to Will, but it's kind of funny. There's a couple of guys on the Elite Series now that I remember when I was like in high school, or actually probably junior high, maybe like 9th or 10th grade, fishing in a junior club, and those guys fishing, like Justin Hamner. I remember him fishing this tournament at Logan Martin, and I remember Will Davis too. And yeah, he's been around. I mean, he fishes the Coosa River. I kind of fish up Tennessee River, so we don't really cross paths a ton. But yeah, man, what a accomplishment! Pretty impressive.
Back to back. Is Alabama kind of like that? So, we look at Oklahoma. Oklahoma's pretty. I mean, if you fish Oklahoma, you fish from Grand to Texoma. I mean, you fish the whole state. And then we just assume other states are like that. Then you get out kind of on the West Coast and you realize it's like a 20-hour drive from Southern California to North. Is Alabama like that? Or they're like North Alabama anglers and Central Alabama anglers and South Alabama anglers?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you got Coosa River guys.
Okay.
And then you got pretty much Tennessee River guys, I guess. I mean, and they don't really
totally different breed of anglers. Like, is a Coosa River guy like a Dustin Connell, that type of?
Yeah, I mean, not even like pro anglers. I mean, you got guys that are pretty much legends on the Coosa River,
like a Jamie Horton.
I know.
Who's Russ Lane and his buddy that used to
like Chris Rutland, Mark McKegg. I have a lot of friends that Terry Tucker, he just won the Alabama Bass Trail championship on Weiss. I mean, it was a $50,000 deal.
Oh, dang.
Team tournament this past weekend. And man, he's won that. He's won two big tournaments at Smith, and he's a legend on the Coosa. Like, this guy has really dominated the Coosa River over years. And, he's came in strides, but for whatever reason, the last 3 or 4 tournaments he's won, he's probably won $100,000 in a couple months. Literally just a couple of big ABA tournaments on Smith, I know. And then, like I said, that championship, I mean, he's cashed out. And so, but he's a Coosa River guy. Mm-hmm. He's not a Tennessee River guy. You don't think of him up here on Guntersville. And you got your Guntersville sticks and Tennessee River guys, but they don't go down to the Coosa and play. So yeah, you got Will Davis is a Coosa River guy.
Yeah, he's a spotted bass guy because I think of like Jordan and Smith and the Coosa.
Bickwick. I think the federation or the nation tournament.
He's last year.
So I mean,
he's 31.
He's obviously doesn't. He's a Tennessee River guy too, I guess. But
but spotted bass are spotted bass because I think of it as like Alabama has weird spotted bass lakes and then like slugfest lakes.
Yeah.
100%. Because Smith is like a spotted bass lake, which I would imagine his Smith and Coosa would then go to play on Hartwell. I mean, are those spots at all similar? I mean, you've won a classic on Hartwell for.
Yes, Smith and Hartwell's similar, other than Hartwell's a lot shallower, flatter, and we don't have cane piles on Smith. But outside of that, it's
why not?
Why not cane
just
piles?
Because there's no other herring in Smith. Yeah, there's herring in Smith.
Yeah, there's some herring in Smith.
Why hasn't anyone put cane out?
Well, it's too deep. A lot of the and they don't. Those fish they suspend, and it's just too deep. There's no really a lot of times they're sitting over 60 foot.
That's fair.
100 foot, 120. I mean, so you can't really sink them because they're too deep.
How would you catch those fish before scope? Just didn't catch them?
You just pull up and you fire out there and you visualize
like
you
come
do anything. Like, is that what we're going to say? That's what these kids are going to say now. How would you catch these fish before scope?
I mean, I was just thinking because I fished it in one open, and I mean, I was catching them burning a tail spinner 2 foot under the surface over 100 foot of water for streaking schools of spotted bass. So I was like, okay, this would be really tough.
You pull up, if you fish there a lot, you're throwing a little topwater like this, you're covering water,
we got baits
and you visualize like, hey, where are they going to be on this point? And then the guys that figure it out, obviously, they know, hey, these fish are sitting way out further. I can cast here, and here, and I can call these fish up. And yeah, I mean, before scope, it was like, if you found them, it was a lot easier than, because not everybody was fishing for them.
Yeah, they're probably a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, aggressive. Yeah.
We'll get to the baits later because we are going to take a little bit of a deep dive into some fall tactics. But I also wanted to circle back, and what better time than now? That Black Bass World Championship that they had in Portugal. I know some of those guys that are on that team and some of the USA bass people have teased bass fishing in the Olympics. Jeffries did a deal on this before he retired, probably 4 or 5 years ago, when the Team USA Bassin has been around for a while. But I mean, are we a long ways in your opinion from the Olympics, or are we just like a couple people deciding, yeah, let's put it in, and like you're donning the red, white, and blue, winning the gold medal?
We're a long way. We don't.
Will it ever happen in your lifetime, do you think? I mean, let's be realistic here.
I mean, honestly, I'm not really. I mean, I'm not really Let's say I'm not really confident in bass fishing going to any next level, especially just after the last couple weeks. And that's a big deal, and I just don't think there's enough people to maybe take it serious enough. But I don't know. I mean, I think we could potentially see it. I'm not going to say it won't happen in my lifetime, because it definitely could. And then there's enough countries. I mean, there is enough countries involved.
There were 20 countries involved in this.
Yeah, that's a pretty good.
Here's the only thing that I think might be a roadblock. PETA pretty much leaves us alone now.
Yeah.
And I think you put that on a international stage, and you might get some
potentially
some activist group notoriety for it. So
I think something like that, I could see the MLF. Really, the only thing you could take from MLF in this would be maybe the catch weight release, and then maybe having some type of Olympic officials.
Yeah, and you'd have a scoreboard, so you could actually do it. Would you be able to have? I mean, maybe Johnny gives a fleet of pontoon boats or some sort of, and you could have kind of some floating spectator barges out there.
Yeah.
in the Olympics, because it could be, I mean, if it depending on how you did it, you could have kind of a manicured playing field. It doesn't have to be a giant lake. It could be a smaller lake.
I could see him trying that for 1 year and be like, wasn't that good. It's out.
That's going to end up on that list of like weird Olympic sports that used to be like pigeon throwing and stuff like that back in the day.
Yeah. I'm not familiar with pigeon throwing, but but yeah, I know what you're saying. I know you're trying to what point you're trying to get across.
This Spain, I think, took here. Other nations that competed were the host Portugal, along with South Africa, France, Canada, Zimbabwe, Romania, Puerto Rico, Mexico, and Serbia.
Yeah, they didn't have Japan in there or China.
I mean, I think about it. What we've got now, though, the USA would not be a runaway favorite in this.
No,
because I would venture to say
I would think Japan would be the favorite.
Yeah, or Canada.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Coop, Gussie, the Johnstons. That doesn't even include the Canadian talent that hasn't made its way south of the or north or from south of the border.
That come over here that can't speak any English and come over here and basically put a hurting on the United States guys on lakes that they know and fish all, pretty regularly. Mm-hmm. And they don't even know, they don't even know like how to get a hotel room or, how to order food or anything like that. And they're coming over here. So, and showing their talents and, winning big national events. Like, I think those guys would be, I mean, they're a heads up in technology, techniques, gear, you name it. I feel like they're one up this.
I had Dan O'Sullivan on the show last week, and he said that there's some Japanese units that aren't even available in the United States. Like, it's a completely different unit.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be interested to see if there's any truth to that, or if it was just a different face and the guts are the same. You know what I mean? Like for scope.
Right.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, Shin and Taco are the two kind of elder statesmen that are currently active right now.
Yeah.
From Japan, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would say so.
Have you gotten to know Shin really well?
Nah, not really.
He's always such a good attitude whenever I've been around him.
Attitude. He's
really cool stuff. And he even does kind of the off the wall, the Neko rigging and all that.
Yeah. I feel like it's just like probably just like over here in the States where we got, younger guys who are a little more hungry, talk a little bit more, spend a little more time on the water. That's kind of the same way in Japan because you got, Taku, who's probably he's a little my age, a little older, and then you got what's the other young kid's name?
Koyo Fujita.
Yeah.
Koyo. I had it down. I had a piece of paper around here with like phonetically spelling it out.
I feel like he's like a young, hungry guy from Japan who knows all the ins and outs, the new techniques.
5 transducers.
Yeah. So he's really next level and hungry with it. And right now he's wherever he's at, he's playing with his boat, playing with fishing, rods, reels, whatever, dialing in his stuff for next year. And that's the difference. And you got guys that are hungry and, guys like him, I mean, he's going to be tough. And he's a newer age guy. Shin, I don't feel like's doing that as much anymore. He's done it for 20 plus years. So, he's not maybe on the front, the forward thinking on that kind of stuff as much.
You think he was sitting over there going, really fuzzy dice? Or do you think he had that in his back pocket and just hadn't broken it out? And he was like, a young whippersnapper.
No, I don't think he was in the know on any of that. I don't think he was in the know as much on the hover strolling and you know, as much as maybe these newer guys that are like in Japan all the time and know, like, you know, that's just my thinking on it, and know how deadly some of this stuff could be.
When we had you on earlier and you were talking about Wheeler doing that on Gunnersville earlier this year, was that the last year or two, the first time you've heard of hover strolling and like seen it that effective? Is this a deal where you're going to be like telling your kids 20 years from now, yeah, I remember back in the year 2023 when I got my ass kicked by hover strolling and now everyone's a stroller?
Yeah, man. I mean, I kind of got in the early know of it too, which is frustrating. I mean, maybe I didn't know. I just didn't know the level of damage that it could do. I mean, 2 years ago, Taku was in my boat doing it and catching fish at Smith, and he was like, "Man, you need to, you know, he's like, you need to, you know, get dialed in on this and stuff." And I don't know. I mean, I played with it here and there. I threw it in the tournament at Gunnersville. I think I had the wrong size. You know, I was throwing a little bit bigger bait. Wasn't completely dialed in on the head and all that, and the weight just wasn't dialed in enough on it to, you know, to get them going on it. But it was kind of known, and it was kind of hush hush type deal. And, you know, Jacob obviously zoned in on it pretty quick and caught him. But I feel like it's not the last you're going to see, you know, that technique.
Everyone thinks we're trolling them. So, Jordan, what's new at MLF? Quit dragging your feet. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Kenny, seriously. All right. So we'll talk about it. So on Friday, I got an anonymous email. It was not from you, Jordan. Just to put that into let everyone know.
Yeah.
It was from this thing called the Angler Protection Committee. And I'll just read the press release if you haven't heard about it by now. BPT anglers respond to recent MLF Bass Pro Tour changes, Riverside, California. We have recently received a proposal outlining the plans from the MLF, which was laid out like we talked about on the show last week. There was a meeting last week. I'm going to paraphrase this, Jordan. If I get anything wrong, let me know. There was a meeting last week where MLF basically laid out their kind of vision, goals, plans for 2024 and 2025. Plenty of podcasts, news articles, if you want to go out and peruse the interwebs, easy to find on what they proposed. Fair assessment there, Jordan?
Yeah, fair assessment.
We are currently in the process of carefully reviewing various aspects of the proposal. The anglers passionate about the growth and success of the league agree that adjustments to the business model are necessary and are eager to work towards an agreement that assures everyone's continued prosperity. Having built their careers within the league, the majority of the anglers are original founding members who possess a genuine commitment to the continual advancement of the MLF platform. As we embark on this review process, our primary goal is to establish a stronger and more fruitful relationship with the league that can endure for years to come. The APC Anglers Protection Committee is a strategic alliance of Bass Pro Tour anglers, and then the email came from an Angler Protection Committee email. So, you are a Bass Pro Tour angler, Jordan, and as some viewers have pointed out, they would like just kind of your take on the entire last week in the world of being a BPT angler, fishing for Major League Fishing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to be completely honest with the viewers here. It's been pretty hard on me because, I mean, I don't look for anybody's sympathy or, you know, we're professional anglers. It is a professional sport. We pay money to fish, and you know, I think at the start of MLF, you know, there was a lot of hope that, you know, this could be maybe something different, that that could have potential, let's say. You know, we started off and with the no entry fees, which that could have been a mistake right from the get-go. But regardless, there was a lot of promise at the beginning, a lot of money getting thrown in it. I compare it to the ages of FLW when there was just money pouring in and they didn't know what to do with it all, right?
Yeah.
We talked about that where
they decided to put battery packs and candid boom mics and underwater and had divers on the structure while you
they were giving $1 million to this is the craziest thing in fishing.
Oh yeah, Scott Suggs.
No, not to the
fantasy fishing.
Fantasy fishing, $1 million. Okay. So I kind of relate that era to this where there was, $300,000 red crest, $100,000 at every tournament. You had the cups that paid. You had the cup championship that I won, maybe the second year, no entry fee. Yeah, there's Hulk Hogan. They had Hulk Hogan there. You talked about it.
Yeah,
I don't want to
get. We talked about that last time. We can't get off topic. Stay on topic.
The payouts were great. Okay, I won $100,000 in a world championship. Not a lot of people know about. It wasn't even live TV, and so no entry fees. This is all no entry fees. So there is promise there. Well, the promise kind of took a hit. There was, in my opinion, there was a lot of bad decisions. Those first couple of years, we saw it behind the scenes. Pretty much everybody saw it. Yeah, there's a tournament I won 2020. So that was almost 4 years ago. That was a cool event. I mean, we're fishing little lakes that nobody even knows about. I don't even know the name of that lake anymore that I won it on.
All right, we're working on a timeline. You got to go back to the timeline. I was just throwing that up for the.
But anyways,
to show that it did happen.
There was a lot of promise, and I feel like the decisions that have ultimately been made at higher management, their decisions, not anything to do with the anglers, have led us to this point in Major League Fishing where basically they're having to, cut the Bass Pro Tour down to what makes financially sense for them in their business. This is on them. It's not on the anglers. And, there's a lot of anglers who, stuck their necks out and really thought that there had potential in the beginning. And it just comes down to that, and it's frustrating for a lot of guys. A lot of guys are mad about how we receive the news, how it's kind of portrayed from upper management, and the fact that, hey, it's business, and sorry you're in this position, but we don't have any.
This is what it is.
It is what it is. And I've learned that in corporate America. I haven't never worked for a big company. I'm sponsored by a few, but I've never had like a corporate job. You probably haven't either.
No, I haven't. It's weird. I feel like we should have for at least a year.
Yeah. I've learned that it's very straightforward. There's no, hey, I'm really sorry I've made these mistakes type deal. It's basically this is what's going to happen. And I think some anglers are trying to get on the same page with that and say, hey, if there's anything we can do here, any way we can change anything. I don't know if there's going to be any type of negotiations or whatever. But there's a lot of anglers that are not okay with just how it was handled, more or less.
There you go. I could answer one of your questions there in a Bass Fan article. MLF President and CEO Boyd Duckett told Bass Fan today that he has no comment on the formation of the APC and didn't plan to participate in negotiations with the group.
There you go.
He said angler issues are routinely addressed through the MLFAA, a body that is separate from the league and consists of 6 officers, 5 of whom are anglers and 8 board members. That would be the entity I'd respond to, Duckett said. The other one isn't even one that I'm aware of. Duckett says he empathizes with the anglers who will no longer have a place on the BPT after next year, but he believes that the reduction is necessary in order for the league to achieve its goal of increased online viewership by non-traditional fans. There's always been a lot more than 80 guys who want to fish the Bass Pro Tour. He goes on to say, for us to be successful, the model doesn't work with 80. We need 50. It's going to be good for professional fishing in the long run, but the downside is it's hard on those who can't make it. You can go to Bass Fan and read the rest of that article. I will say, me personally, I've talked to anglers on the BPT who had an integral part in putting this together. I've also talked to anglers on the BPT who hadn't even heard of this thing and weren't really dialed in. So, and it is anonymous at this point. So it's all across the board with the 80 anglers, each of which is a single business entity looking to do what is the best for themselves, which, yeah.
It makes it tough. It makes it tough to have some type of alliance, union, anything like that, because everybody's I'm in a different position than a lot of people. A lot of people are different position than me, and to get all anglers on the same page is extremely difficult. And that's just the facts of it. But if the anglers can get on the same page, and I think there's a lot of smart guys that fish our tour, that fish both tours, that have probably, and this is one thing I wish the leagues would understand, Bassmaster and MLF, that your anglers are they are your talent, and they're your customer. We're paying them, but you have a lot of smart individuals that know the sport better than anybody, that know the nitty gritty, that know stuff that's the social media trends, and I mean, just anything. They know the sport better than anybody. I feel like the higher management of both Bassmaster and MLF don't understand what they have at their fingertips, and how much the anglers can make good decisions and make good, especially a group of anglers and that just know bass fishing and know the trends. And like I said, they can see what's coming almost. And I feel like a lot of anglers could see what was coming years ago and see, hey, and see trends, see forward facing sonar trends. Hey, how can we make this better? How can we make this? And we could really make the product so much better. But here's the problem. Nobody listens. Nobody listens. And I feel like that is one bad in any business. If you don't listen to your consumer, your employees, and really take stuff to heart, then it can hurt you in the long run. And I don't know. I just think they would, if they could listen a little bit more, they'd be in a better position.
I'd also like to point out that part of the reason that this is existing now is because of not listening throughout the history of the organizations. This is not new. This seems to be a cyclical thing that we saw most recently, which is basically the reason that the BPT exists. It's because you had a bunch of anglers for a number of years that were saying, hey, and they were saying
tough, and there is egos involved and all that. And that's just unfortunate. But if I ever own a business, if I ever do, man.
Well, you own a business. You're a sole proprietor of Major League Fishing. You've got a clothing company now. You've got a warehouse over.
We listen to the people. No, but if I ever owned like any type of business, whatever, I would listen, because I've seen this mistake happen. But these people obviously are better running businesses than I am. I mean, they have a lot more money. And
Scott says the Toro cut line is about to be the Sal's Meat Market cut line.
That'd be fine. I'd run a Sal's Meat Market route.
Dude, I am really I've had some brushes with meat companies. I really feel like a meat company would be ideal for the bass fishing world, a direct to consumer meat company. Like, I feel like BTL or a recognized brand like Jordan Lee, like you get a Omaha Steaks, a Butcher's Block, one of those behind it. Like that is a win-win scenario that targets the demographic that you're trying to target, like bar none.
Manly.
Yeah. Cause I mean, if you can afford a new bass boat, you can afford a freeze-dried steak direct to your doorstop. I mean, you got guys who like to grill with disposable income. What more do you want in the South?
You're right. That's spot on. You go to tournaments, you just get just a pile of meat sent there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen guys with Traeger deals and big green egg deals, and I don't know if anyone cracked the RecTech code yet with the bull horns, the new latest greatest. If someone could crack the RecTech code, what's Josh Bertrand? Josh Bertrand's got one.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, but you got to have the meat for it. Anyway, that's my.
Yeah, there's a lot of companies. I mean, there's not a lot of companies, but yeah, that would be a good one. The meat. I could see meat being a player in bass fishing.
All right. Well, thank you for
comments.
What's that? There was one there that I wanted to point out.
I see him. I click comments now.
Clay made a good point. He said, I would guess Jordan is well inside the top 35. Good dude for sticking his neck out for the greater good. And that is also like when everybody's an individual, it's really hard to get everybody on the same page. One of the reasons is if it's benefiting the guys who are the most influential and are making the most money. I mean, dude, like you have a small kid. A lot of the guys have small kids and families and they're growing. And if it's working for them, it's hard to say, hey, I'm willing to give up because you work your ass off to get to a certain level. And then there's also that mentality of, well, I'm here, freaking catch me. Come take my spot. Like, look what I've done to earn it. Like, I mean, there's a legacy there of hard work and doing something that no one else has been able to do for the hours that nobody sees to then reap the rewards of that at the top of the mountain. So it's a tricky situation. It really is. And then you throw the Angler Alliance and then you throw Boyd in saying that he's not even going to recognize. It's a great time to have a podcast about professional bass fishing, Jordan.
Absolutely. I agree.
Job safety.
And I'm not sticking my head out. There's nothing that I'm doing. I'm just just talking about the situation, which it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, there's that goes back to the guys in different positions. You know, guys that you got guys on the top, you got guys at the bottom, you got guys in the middle. Everybody's in a different place.
And you also have guys at the top who have options.
Yeah.
And guys at the top who don't have options. And with that, we will take our first break of the show. When we come back, I do want to talk about the clothing because it seems like you said you've listened. You've got some new apparel out. You've got the Find Your Own Fish hat.
Yeah.
And then we're going to dive into once you find your own fish, how to capture said fish. Because I remember we did a show that I was completely I think it was like an evening show, and we just talked baits for like an hour. And I was like, that was awesome. So I figured we're going to lightly address this issue and then dive into some baits. You good with that?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Jordan Lee, heavy hitters champ, world champion, AOY, and back-to-back classic winner. Does that cover it?
That's it. That's all I got, man. And BFL 2023 Choo Choo Angler of the Year.
Ooh, that's probably one of the tougher ones to win in that division.
And I got a plaque in the mail.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's BTL on a Monday, October 23rd. We'll be back right after this.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
Everything you need, one legendary brand. Taiwan Strike King.
All right, guys, if you're a construction worker, soccer dad, soccer mom, you want to be outdoors, you've seen the Reaper. This right here is the zip-up full Reaper, but it's windproof, folks, windproof. And it actually has the mast built in. It's behind me. I mean, if you can look good, feel good, and stay warm, you better check it out. It's the zip-up Reaper. That's right, windproof.
Elite Series Pro Daryl Gleason here. My Pro Guide batteries keep me going on those long tournament days and long practice days. Always plenty of juice, never fail. The best part about Pro Guide batteries, it's the people behind the company. They have over 40 years experience in the battery business, keeping all of us fishermen out on the water longer, catching more fish. Check them out at ProGuideBatteries.com.
What's up, Bass Talk Live fans? Brandon Polnick here. And ever since I won a couple Bassmaster Elite Series events on X-Zone Lures, I've been getting a bunch of questions of what makes them so special and different. And really, the truth is, it's in the details. The little details, things like no cheap fillers in their plastic. That gives you more lifelike action, more realistic and vibrant colors. But don't just take my word for it. Go to www.xzonelures.com and check them out for yourself.
We are back, BTL, on a Monday. I did fail to mention when I was talking about the Bass Nation Championship won by Will Davis Jr., first angler to win it back-to-back, that because he won, obviously there was an effect of how that affected who goes to the Classic and who gets invited to the Elite Series, which that's been a very valuable spot over the years. We have seen superstars in the sport get their start in the Bass Nation. Probably most notably Brandon Polnick in that 2010-2011 where he won the Bass Nation and then went on to duel Kevin Van Dam on the Delta and almost win that Classic, and then he became Brandon Polnick. But because Will Davis won, he had a really good Elite Series season. He was already in the Classic. The first ripple effect is that goes down to the next angler in the Elite Series standings, which I believe is David Gaston. So I think I haven't, that doesn't say it in the article, but from what I believe David Gaston gets into the Bassmaster Classic, which then puts Scott Martin one out. And I think only the team championship is left. So I think Scott is destined to be first out this year, which, remember, he was last guy in last year. So Scott Martin been living on the edge. And then the other unique thing with with Davis winning is the second place angler, Dube. Anyway, I think he's from New Hampshire. He gets a spot in the Elite Series next year.
Good for him.
Tim Dube, who finished second at Hartwell, earns a spot in the Elite Series. So that was cool. We've seen some of the Bass Nation guys not defend it. I've never. I mean, that's honorable too. Like, hey, let someone else have a chance. But dude, if you qualify for that tournament and you can go defend that thing 10 freaking times, I don't care. I mean, that's a tournament you won and it's your title until someone takes it from you, and go get your 20 grand and obviously fishing it, because that's an easy spot in the Classic. There's no guarantee that Davis was going to catch it this year. So I just wanted to, I always try to give a lot of publicity to the Bass Nation Championship. I think it was one of the most underrated tournaments out there. Used to be a lot more, it's still very prestigious, but just as far as the pomp and circumstance around it, that's changing next year, going to regionals, where top % of the regional anglers then make a national championship. They're still doing one angler in the Classic, one angler in the Classic, or three anglers in the Classic, one to the Elite Series.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a 250 boat tournament now for that instead of just a 55 boat tournament. What's the best amateur tournament you've ever fished in, Joe? Like one that just sticks out to you, like that was a badass tournament.
Man, I hadn't really fished in that many, but
like, have you ever fished an All-American?
No, the only thing similar to I fished All-American was in 2009. I fished the Weekend Series National Championship on Dardanelle. That it was 100,000 something first place. Justin Atkins won the co-angler side. I triple zeroed, and it took 38 pounds to win for 4 days, and then that guy got to go to the Classic, so he won a good bit of money. And yeah, I guess that was the best one I fished, and I came in dead last. I never caught a keeper.
How did that happen?
My motor
Oh, God.
blew. I think my trolling motor went out, and I think I lost 3 keepers that I remember
In 3 days.
in 3 days. Motor blew, trolling motor went out, or cable broke.
Same day or back-to-back days? Like day 1, day 2, like was it just a total disaster?
I think it was different days.
So that had to be the biggest cluster you've ever fished in. To have that happen in 3 consecutive days, and
I missed a week of class my freshman year at Auburn, and pretty much just bombed all that whole semester. And
so just wrote it off. Wow. Yeah, that one. How old were you then? 17, 18?
Yeah, something like that. I guess that's the best one I fished. I mean, I haven't really, because in college I fished just some local stuff, but I fished a lot of college tournaments, and then after that I fished the opens and all that. So,
Jonathan James with a glowing review. Joe is a man-child who handles stress like nobody I've ever seen, doesn't overthink fishing or life, and is never in a hurry. Flat out humble and isn't afraid to talk about anything in the biz. That guy needs to be your PR. He needs to be your PR guy.
Johnny James. It's got to be the only Johnny James I know.
Here's Jason. He said, "Hey, I was in that tournament. Jordan had to get Matt's boat in that tournament."
Yeah.
Look at that. People remember.
Gosh, that's impressive. Somebody was in the tournament. That was a brutal tournament.
2009.
I have 19. Been stressed out.
That was 15 years ago. What stresses you out?
I mean, everything just going on right now. It has stressed me out. I mean, I'm not stressed right now. Talking with you about it, and maybe a little bit every day, but I mean, it is a lot to take in, and I mean, fishing's always going to change though, so you just got to get used to it, I guess.
Well, your first year on the Elite Series was
2015.
15. So you've kind of been a little bit volatile. I mean, you just get kind of settled in, and then the MLF switch happened. So you've kind of been all over the board. I mean, you start in 15, and then boom, you got the classic back-to-back classics. You've had a very interesting career. I guess I haven't realized that, because you haven't had just very many just normal grinded out seasons. Like, you've either been a defending champion of something rolling all over, or a league switch, or format switches. Like, you haven't just sat down and been like, yeah, that looks like a good schedule. Looking forward to this year. There's always been something that you've had to deal with to get through that year. Mostly positive.
Yeah. My career so far has been, I've really, I can't have any complaints. I mean, you always have a little nerves going into the next year, and you look at the schedule and you're like, I don't really like it, or I kind of like it, and you just don't know how it's ever going to go. Then you kind of get in the groove, and I've had some tough tournaments, had a lot of great tournaments, and you just take one year at a time, and thankful for every step along the way you get to do it.
Have you been following like the Tucker Smith and Logan Parks and all that? I know Logan just made the Bassmaster Elite Series. I mean, Auburn seems to be kicking out. And then what are your thoughts also on the Opens? 22.5 is the average age of the top 5 in the Bassmaster Open EQs. Like, I mean, you were a young protege. You were one of those guys who was tabbed. You've been in the shoes of these guys literally since you've been 17 years old. Any advice? What are your thoughts on that? Is this the new norm?
Yeah, it's the new norm for sure. I just see technology and the guys who are willing to, and they're coming up with the technology, right? They're starting fishing, and they have the time, and they have not as many of the responsibilities, and that's how I was. And I would fish. I was gone a month and just go fish. Didn't have anything to really pin me home, pinned me back home where I had to be at the house and I could just fish and learn. And, I had that advantage then. And now you see the younger guys that are hungry and, they're coming up with the technology and they have they want to learn it and they want to be on the water every second. And then you have a lot of the veterans who, have been around a long time that are doing okay financially, and maybe they're not as hungry to go out there every day and learn their units and change their whole fishing strategy that they've learned. They basically their whole life they've put effort into reading the water and this and that. And a lot of it is going away in a sense. You still have to do that, but you still have to understand fish, but you have to change the way you fish. In a sense I feel like to be really competitive.
Change as far as?
Well, I mean, you have to be willing to say, okay, this tournament, I'm going to really focus on, live scope, active target, and
Just throw 30 years of experience out the window and just go chase random fish in an open bay.
Sometimes, yeah. Some tournaments, yeah. If you want to win, if you want to be competitive, you want to be in the top 10, yeah, you have to at least try it.
Are you struggling with this at all? I mean, I know you came up without it. You made the Elite Series without it. You've won world championships without it. Have you just been like, yeah, this is
with it? I'm trying to, every time I go out, like I did get to go out on the water yesterday and just go fish and just have fun. And I literally went out there instead of going and just saying, hey, I'm going to go flip grass and just grind it out for a little while and see what I can catch doing this. I went out and just used active target the whole time and just try to catch fish out in the middle of the lake or on stumps or whatever. I don't care if they were 12 inches or what. I didn't know what I was going to catch, but I literally just did that because I'm not great with it. And I don't like put myself in that position a lot of times where I just go to a body of water and just say, hey, I'm just going to use this all day and see what I catch. But that's the new age. I mean, a lot of guys that qualified for the elites, that's how they did it. They went into events and said, hey, I'm going to use this and find fish that people aren't looking for and catch fish that people aren't fishing for. And a lot of those guys either won tournaments or were in the top, a lot of the events. I mean, that was a big factor.
What's going to be the biggest challenge for these 22, 23-year-old guys? I mean, you've lived it. What's the one thing that they're not expecting that is going to be the biggest challenge for them?
The biggest challenge in our sport is financially, and sponsorships and social media and learning that, hey, just because you've qualified for a high level tournament series, that doesn't mean it's all going to be roses and everything. I mean, there's going to be tough times, and I mean, I'm sure they're prepared for that, and they know that going into it. But you don't get into it to really, you don't know what your financial income's going to be year to year, and sponsorships, that's the biggest, and it's getting tougher. It's getting tougher every year to maintain them and to get new ones. So that's the biggest challenge.
Are there enough guys looking in the non-endemic side? I mean, is that where the future is, you think, in non-endemic sponsorship? Or, I mean, it's always been there. There's always been some unique ones, but like what percentage of the guys would you say are really trying to maximize the non-endemic versus going after the same companies that have always supported tournament fishing, but have 90% of their advertising budget already booked for 2 years out?
Yeah, the non-endemics, man, they're tough because they don't stick around forever. I mean, I had Carhartt that was with me for about 7-8 years,
and that started as a college deal.
That was a great partnership for me. the longest one I've had, through it all. But
That's borderline endemic.
yeah, that's kind of an anomaly though. I mean, a lot of, I look at guys, the top, the top guys in our sport who, that are really good with social media and their companies they work with. Gerald Swindle, for instance. I mean, he's had Toyota, and he's had some non-endemics throughout the years, and that maybe around a couple years he's had some probably that have been around a long time, but and Iaconelli and Van Dam. I mean, those were the top guys for a long time, and it's just hard if their jerseys aren't just full of non-endemic sponsors, right? They may have that was a bunch of acorns hitting the roof.
I was wondering, I was like, either someone's up from their nap or someone just shot a squirrel.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Like, those guys' jerseys aren't just full of non-endemics, like 10 non-endemics. Like, they have one or two or three. So it's hard to go, a young guy to just go pitch a huge corporation company and say, hey, this is what I'm doing next year. Are you on board? And so that part of it's tough because and there's so many quote unquote professional anglers now. But yeah, if you could get one or two, man, hey, good for you, and try to hold on to them.
Are you surprised at how well the individually licensed clothing has gone, which started with the This Lake Sucks and now has moved to, I mean, I would assume I saw this a couple of days ago. I need both of those hats because I've got there's your Lake Hartwell water right there.
Yeah. Next time I see you, if I gotta get you some. You can.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as long as they're in stock, I got no problem ordering it. Are they still in stock right now? The Find Your Own Fish and the This Lake Sucks, or are we?
I don't know, honestly. I think the Find Your Own Fish. I don't think we've sold out.
Is it JordanLeeFishing.com?
Yeah, JordanLeeFishing.com.
Oh, look how fancy this is. I think we've showed this before. Boom. Oh, look at that.
There you go.
Jolie.
Yeah, you go up to shop.
There it is. Products. Find Your Own Fish hat.
There you go.
In stock, right?
Yeah.
Is that a Richardson 112?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And then
the only one to wear.
Right? Yeah, that's what all the BTL are. And then I don't see This Lake Sucks hat.
Yeah, I think that This Lake Sucks hat is out right now.
That you've had to have sold 10,000 of those.
I don't think we've sold that many. But
it's the hottest hat in fishing.
I wouldn't go that far, but it was actually my wife's idea. I got to give her the credit, and she really she kind of had the idea and put it together, and even the Find Your Own Fish. I mean, that was kind of on her. She knows way more.
Was that just you bitching? And she's like, well, let's just do a hat that says it.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, pretty much. It was for sure that This Lake Sucks. It was because, I mean, that's what I always used to say, and I still probably do, like, every lake I went to. That's any fisherman, though. You go out there, you go to, like, oh, this is the best lake in the country. You go to, like Fork or something, and you're like, oh, this place sucks. I thought it was supposed to be good. She's like, oh, what's bad about it?
Drunkwood wants one that says, my dad found these fish that you can sell to all the high school anglers.
Yeah. Find dad's fish. Yeah.
I like the one, just my dad found these fish.
Yeah, I like that.
That'd be a good one. Speaking of promotion of that, what are your thoughts on Milliken making the Elite Series? That's pretty wild, isn't it?
It's impressive. I know he's been on the show, and I haven't. I don't think we've ever crossed paths, and I've never talked to him in person. But I really wasn't big on the YouTube. I mean,
you're not a YouTube guy. I'll say it for you.
Yeah, I'm not a YouTube guy.
You do it out of necessity, not out of the love of YouTube.
Right, and it is impressive to the time and effort that he's put into the YouTube, and to build that for his personal brand, and then to just basically stick your head out. I don't know how many tournaments he's fished over the years, but
9 with bass.
that's how many tournaments he's fished ever.
No, he used to fish. He fished like some college stuff, and then he fished a couple locals. But like open level, like that level, he's fishing not. Like,
yeah,
it's insane. Like, yeah,
and to come in, and obviously he's up to date with all the new trends, and very dialed in with his electronics. And yeah, I mean, he's going to be that's impressive to qualify your first year out and to take a chance on it.
Yeah, he fished 1 BFL, and then the rest of the stuff was college stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, some
That's
college
cool.
stuff. He was, well, was he? You might have fished against him.
Oh, really?
Hold on. He fished college in 2011, 12, and 13.
Yeah. We fished against each other then, probably.
I don't know where he 3109. Maybe I can backdoor this and figure out where.
See if you took my money.
3109. Oh, no, University of Nebraska, Omaha.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I didn't know that's where you fish.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
What tournament did you fish? A national championship or anything? Is it FLW you're looking at?
FLW. Yeah, he fished the national championship, but it was in 14. Did you fish that one?
Where was it at?
The Abu Garcia College Fishing Championship. He top 10'd it. Oh, that was on Lake Kiowee.
Yeah, I didn't fish that one.
That was the one that Austin Felix won.
Okay. That's cool.
Because that was when we had the college bass zone. Did I give you one of those old school hoodies that had the Nike logo on them? The college bass zone hoodies?
I don't think you've ever gave me anything, Matt.
Good Lord.
I don't think
just valuable air.
What do you have on right now? Is that a BTL hoodie?
Camo? No, this is a camo AFCO hoodie.
Oh, okay.
But we do have a fall selection dropping in the next 2 weeks on the BTL merch site.
Nice. I like all the comments that are coming in. Daddy's money bought this boat. Daddy's little sponsor. Your dock, my money. Donator. Donator. Yeah, that'd be a good one. I could wear that one on a tough year. Just go to the tournament and, be on camera with the donator hat.
All right. We got to take another break. Listen, you did grab some baits. Let's just do 5 minutes, the best of the best fall fishing.
Okay.
Late fall, winter. Because I know you've got kids, meetings, sponsor commitments, all sorts of things. You have better internet than you did last time. Your internet's banging right now.
Yeah, it's hot right now.
All right. Jordan Lee on a Monday. We're just what does Uncle Frank always say? Bloviating about a variety of topics.
I like it.
All right. BTL will be back right after this.
I'm the kind of guy that never leaves the house without a pocket knife, and Gamakatsu's come out with the EDC series of knives. EDC stands for everyday carry, so whether you're on the water or off, you can always have it with you. The best thing about it to me is that assisted open feature. With this D2 blade, you've got it right here at your fingertips, so if you can't find your scissors, you need to cut a knot, you need to cut your braid, you've always got it. Make sure you check it out. Never leave home without your Gamakatsu EDC knife.
Born in Japan, using technology, innovation, and precision, Sunline produces the widest selection of fishing lines at the most technologically advanced line factory in the world. Manufactured at the strictest tolerances to produce victories at the highest levels of tournament bass fishing. From household names like Christie, Swindle, and Cruz, to young guns like Cook, Logan, New, and Welcher, they all trust Sunline to take them to the top of the leaderboard. Choose the line that will give you the strength to guarantee your confidence. Sunline.
Shoreline Boat and RV, dock rash, storm damage, collision repair, that deep scratch or gouge from trying to access that secret creek. Shoreline Boat and RV can get your prized possession back in mint condition and looking good on the water, fast. All repairs are done in-house, so they're able to get your boat or RV back to brand new, quickly. All Shoreline's work comes with a rock-solid warranty. Find out more at shorelineboatandrv.com. Kansas City, Austin, and Tulsa.
Having confidence in your tackle while on the water is one of the main things to success, in my opinion. In the last couple of years with Denali, I've had just that. From anything from spinning rods, casting rods, tungsten products, even now to casting and spinning reels, I have the confidence to go out there and get the job done and know that all my equipment is going to handle it and do it just the way I want it. The thing about Denali is you've got great quality products at a great price point, so make sure you check them out.
Have you considered purchasing new electronics for your rig? The type of mounts you choose to protect your investment should be part of the decision-making process. No matter if you prefer 1, 2, or 3 graphs up front, Beatdown Outdoors has a solution for you. Adjustable, versatile, rigid, and made in the USA. What's your ultimate electronic setup? Check out the full selection of Beatdown Outdoors products by visiting beatdownoutdoors.com.
The great thing about the new Sensation soft plastics from Big Bite Baits, heavily scented, super soft, buoyant, comes in 7 great new shapes. I've got a couple of them of my signature series, the cliffhanger worm and the ramtail craw. Great for a flipping jig, football jig, swim jig, all that. Several other great shapes. Really excited about it. We've worked over the last year, catches fish all over the country, and I think it's going to catch fish for people everywhere you try it.
The Spro Little John crankbait has been around for almost 15 years, and it is one of my go-to crankbaits whenever I need a fish in the boat, so you can never have enough new colors. That's why Spro's coming out with a handful of new colors, including Pearl Shad, which has this bleached out white look, but it's got this pearlescent, really pretty. We've got Copper Shad, which looks amazing in the water. It's got that purple flake on the back, really pops in the water. And then if you want some real pop, we've got Sparkle Shad, nothing but sparkles all over this thing. And then last but not least, we've got the matte Sexy Shad, just a really different looking color for a crankbait. So you want to give them a little different look, that matte Sexy Shad is definitely the one to go with. All these colors are available in the original Little John and the MD.
We're back. BTL, I was looking up your FLW stats. This is absolutely disgusting for what you did to these kids in college. You fished 10 FLW events in college. Now, who were your team before we get into the stats? Who were your primary team partners?
Partners, my brother and Shane Powell.
All right. You were 10 for 10 in top 10s. You never in 10 events finished outside the top 10.
And Shay Baker.
And Shay. From 2010 to 2012, your national championship finishes were 3rd, 4th, and 3rd. You fished 4 tournaments in the Southeastern Conference. You won one of them and top 10'd all 4 of them. And then in the Southeastern Conference regionals, you finished 3rd, 5th, and 1st.
Yeah, I had some good partners.
Like what is that feeling? I mean, you can't even legally drink a beer yet, but you're going in and you know that you're about to just strum some kids. Like that had to be such a good feeling to be like young and arrogant and just go in and be like, yeah, we know this one's going to go well for us and not for you.
Yeah, I don't think I looked at it like that, but I don't sit here 13 years later, but man, I just really put it to them kids.
Dude, I'm doing it right now. Like, cause I fished college and I know that there was like Rackley was one of those teams for A&M back in the day before he was Lake Fork guy. He has a name. It was Justin. Yeah. And we'd be like, dang, we got to beat A&M.
Yeah.
Like Rackley had a team. Arkansas Tech had a couple good teams.
Yeah.
But like, I remember those kids were
kids
just scared of you, man. I was covering it. We had a website, collegebasso.com. Like they were terrified of you.
Well, I hate it for them, I hate it for them that they were terrified of my little punk self, but
like you knew you were going to beat everyone though, right? Like, I mean, you knew going into it
because I didn't win every time. We did good. We were consistent, but
10 for 10.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's just on the FLW side. That doesn't mention that your brother won one of the years in the bracket when he beat you, and then you just went through the entire system and won it the following year.
Yeah. College fishing was a good time for me. We were definitely on the upward trends of like the drop shotting, the robo worm, and the side scanning brush and stuff like that. Side scanning the schools and finding the schools offshore. The deep stuff. Felt like that was kind of the offshore fishing. We were really cracking the code on that early, earlier than everybody else.
Yeah.
Finding stuff offshore and, we were definitely dialed in on that.
Is that becoming the 7-inch tequila sunrise Texas rigged worm of the 90s, the morning dawn drop shot in 2023?
I'm not sure what you're asking, but
like it's the standard. That's what like everybody's just got on now. Like it is everyone has it. Like in the 90s, everyone would have a 7-inch power worm tied on.
Everyone has it now. It's not something like that is not as deadly anymore as it once was. But it's always going to catch fish. A drop shot with a worm like that, but I don't think it's the standard anymore. You're not seeing every tournament like a drop shot being a player.
Obviously I haven't exploited it, but I'm very consistent when it comes to catching 5. And like I've said, there has to be a middle to a bottom half of the pack for there to be a top half of the pack, Jordan. So I'm doing my part in that. I will say this though.
You're very consistent on getting a limit. I've seen your stats.
A long time ago. It would have been 2016. We had a regional on Gunnersville. And I called you up and you literally talked to me for like 3 minutes. And you said, dude, throw pink robo worm on a drop shot. And I was like, really? On Gunnersville? Like I just bought some swim baits. And that was when that giant bass tricks was hot. And I was like, I don't want to. You're like, no, dude, you need to. And this was 8-9 years ago.
Yeah.
And I did. And dude, it's been in my arsenal ever since. You are so on the cutting edge, forefront of that. Like one of the first guys to be doing that.
Well, I kind of got it from Justin and Cody. They were always like, when I was coming up in college and even like starting out, Cody Meyer, he's always been on like the front. He was on the front edge of all the finesse stuff. Okay. The Neko rig, the drop shot, all the light line finesse, little swim baits. Cody, like in the FLW days, just spanked everybody. I mean, doing all the finessey stuff. So I kind of got, got on that pretty early from those guys, and they kind of helped me out with that. I didn't figure it out on my own, but I was definitely, and Tom Frank too. He was, my roommate in college, and he was like best friends with Aaron. So he was always on the forefront of all that stuff. And, he traveled with Aaron a lot. So I was around people that knew a lot more than I did.
Speaking of West Coast finesse, Brett Hite did post an update after his high-speed run-in with a bird. That was some scary stuff, and it looks like he's going to keep an eye. It looks like everything is eventually going to be okay. But for a while there, that was some really scary stuff with Brett Hite hitting some sort of water bird at the U.S. Open. And I guess he had like some shards of glass in his eye. Couldn't see out of it. Did you see his update? I mean, he looks like he just went 3 rounds with Tyson.
So bad. I feel
you ever hit a bird like that?
I've hit him with my boat, coots and stuff on Gunner.
Where they just pop up and boom.
Yeah, you just run through a giant pack of coots.
Don't say that, Randy Blockett picketing outside your house if you admit to that.
Yeah. Well, I'm that guy, Randy. Sorry.
But I think he said it was a pelican, a brown pelican.
He must have hit something big. It was a big bird.
I remember Bill Lowen in 2009 took a coot straight to the forehead. But it didn't do, Overstreet got the pictures of the coot, like the oh crap moment for the coot, and then the coot plume flying in. over the head. Dude, holy cow, we're an hour and 12 minutes in. What do you got next to you? Anything? One thing that you're most excited about for the fall? Is there anything like that's new, or is everything scope related? Like, is there any cast and crank stuff or look at stuff, or is everything scope related now?
Well, a lot of stuff scope related now, but I do like first week in November, or I like November, early November, usually punching on Guntersville. There's always like a week window there where you can get a ton of bites. That I look forward to that always. And I think I'm fishing a tournament with my wife this weekend on Smith, which we've only fished like one other tournament together. So I'm actually looking forward to that. It'll be a lot of fun. So
is she the type who's like, if it's not going well, is going to like be on your case? Like,
I
come
don't
on,
know.
dude.
I don't know how she's going to be. Like I said, we fished together, but we've only fished the one tournament we fished together. We won. It was a night tournament, and she caught 3 of them giants. She caught 3 giants. This has been
like, did she get pumped, or was she like, oh, that's nice?
No, she was pumped.
Okay, so she'll be the type to where at noon, if it's not going well, because I've experienced this before. At noon, if it's not going well, you're getting the what the hells, and then they start throwing their suggestions.
I just don't think she's going to be prepared or like as much as we're going to have to run around. I think she's
a run and gun deal, huh?
Yeah, Smith Lake. We're going to fish Smith.
Oh wow, yeah,
yeah. We're going to run around a lot, so she's going to be pretty mad at me for that.
Hair in a ponytail.
Yeah,
with a hat.
Is it Fish Talk Open? Yep, that's what it is.
What is that? Is that where you do like the TikTok stuff?
Well, my buddy Slick Johnson, some of these guys probably know him from TikTok, is putting on a tournament. It's called the Fish Talk Open. Yeah.
Okay. What else you got, man? We covered a bunch of stuff. We went more in depth than we should have in some stuff, and not as in depth in other stuff.
I do have a few baits before I go, a few little tips. Fall fishing though, like seriously, now I think there's 2 ways to look at it, right? You can on a lot of lakes you can fish the bank, you can cover water, bank related, visible targets. You got drawdowns, you got a little top water bite. You can do that and say, hey, I'm not going to scope it all, and there's a couple baits I like to just go down the bank with, and just where you don't. There's those acorns again. The Chapo. This is the 90 Chapo. I've thrown this one a decent bit. You can see.
Holy cow! You cut that right off of the actual game day rod.
Well, there's a lot of times in my baits, I just cut. I don't ever cut at the knot. I just cut right above it for whatever reason. So like my box will be filled with baits that just have a little tag in a line on it.
Yeah.
But obviously, the Chapo's a great bait. The 90 size. We actually fished a team event a few weeks ago. I had Timmy Horton and Mark Davis as a team partner, and both of them got this bait from me, and both of them caught fish on it. A 90 size Chapo. They're like, we want a smaller one, and I was like, yeah, here. They caught fish on it. So it's a great bait in the fall just to say, hey, I'm not going to think, and just go down the bank, throw that. Also, it's fall's like a time of year that I just like to downsize too. It's the only time of year that I'm like, I'm going to throw smaller baits. That's because the shad are a little bit smaller. So like a buzz bait, typically you see guys with a big, horny toad or something on the back of a buzz bait. And clack. And this is a homemade little small buzz bait, like a 1/8 ounce. It's got a small blade on it. You can put like any little swim bait. I like the Berkeley Grass Pig Jr. And, you can cover water with this. You can throw it over mats, grass. This bait, I've thrown a lot on Guntersville too, this little buzz bait. And if you got grass around, this comes through it really, really well. Just because how small it is.
Homemade, right?
Yeah, on the buzz bait. Yeah, I got it.
Not available.
Well, I got this one from I think Michael's Tackle Shop.
Michael Neal,
yeah.
Real deal tackle. Is that what it is on the shores of Lake Chickamauga?
Yeah. Yep. it's hard to find like a really small, good buzzbait with a good hook. They had them over there. But you can put a little swim bait on it. I like a smaller buzzbait. And top water, and one other top water bait that I throw a lot. Top water is a top water bait, right? I mean, you either want one that's really loud that's going to call fish up, or you want something that's more finessey. This is the Drift Walker, just chrome. It's a little bit more finessey. You can throw it on a bait caster, and it's on those slick, calm, like no wind days, sunny, bluebird. You need something that's more finessey. So I will throw this. And the best tip that I got for today, that, a fluke you hear a lot of this time of year. I do like, I'm just sponsor plugging out the wazoo, but
no, that's fine.
All my baits are burglar, but I am throwing these.
Yeah.
The jerk shad, it's just a fluke style Berkeley's, but it is scented, so it's a little heavier than a fluke. We all know a fluke's a great bait, but this one has a little more weight just because the scent. But one thing I like to do, and it's something to think about, it's probably the best thing I got, and I'm starting to do this more on different baits, is, with scope and everything like that, is having baits that are going to sink a little bit faster or have more weight to them. I have got a lot of this just lead wire from Tackle Warehouse or wherever.
Harleen lead wire 0.025 in diameter.
Yeah, you see a lot of guys putting this like on glide baits and stuff. Putting them on the hooks.
That's old school, man. That's been doing it since the friggin' 60s.
Yeah. Well, you can wrap lead wire just around hooks like this, and thread thread your favorite whatever bait you're going to throw. This is the jerk shad, and thread it up where you get a little bit extra weight, and it casts better. You can sink it down to fish if you want to. You can put it
awesome.
on. You can put it on jerk baits. You can put it on hooks on jerk baits if you're seeing fish on scope. I got a jerk bait stuck in this couch right here. But yeah, with scope now, fish are suspended. Like on Gunnersville yesterday, fish were, sitting over 15 foot of water and like a foot below the surface. So, and the best thing I could make them react to was this stunner. But I did catch some also on the jerk shad. But I fall fishing, you think, the fish are on shad, they are, but they could be out in the middle of the creek. They could be out in 14 foot, 15 foot. They're not always going to be on the bank. They're not going to always be in the back of a cove. They may be out in the middle of the creek, and they may be 2 feet under the surface. And that's what I'm kind of learning from Active Target is how fish are setting up, and you can play with different baits to catch them.
You got 2 seconds to go back over some of the stuff you just talked about?
Yeah.
Okay. Hold that buzzbait up again. Oh, no, that looks like a little big bite. Is it? Is that a little big bite? Because I thought it was this one, but it's not that one, because that's a different head.
Yeah, it's not that one.
It's not that one. That one looks pretty tasty, though. It's not a booger, man, because I'm on the Real Deal Tackle. But if you look at the head of it, it looks like the big bite right there, doesn't it?
It's got a smaller hook than that.
Yeah, so it's like a little handmade Tennessee deal.
Must be.
Okay.
Got a real small, stout hook.
Okay. Which is key on that.
You couldn't put like a big toad or something.
Oh, yeah, that is not a big bite because a big bite has a different collar on it.
Yeah.
Pete's saying those are the ones you see not in a package on this buzzbait rack next to the counter.
I know, and yeah, I like the little smaller buzzbait for sure. Smaller baits. It's the time of year that I like to downsize. Just if you're a guy that's not a tournament guy, just wants to catch fish, definitely downsizing this time of year. You're gonna get way more bites. You may not catch the biggest fish in the lake, but you're gonna catch a lot of fish. Have a fun experience.
Chopo tail versus plopper tail. Massive sound difference between the river to sea, the tiny whopper plopper and the Chopo in that exact size. Talk about the plop versus the ping. I don't know how to describe it, but that hard plastic tail makes a drastically different size. I've talked to guys on both sides of the camp. I've talked to guys who will only throw the Chopo, who are top level tournament guys. And I talked to guys who say, man, the soft plastic tail on the whopper plopper is the only way to go because it's not as aggressive. Talk about that sound that plopper Chopo style bait makes.
Yeah, there's definitely something to the noise of the Chopo. You see it on a lot of guys' decks and different sizes. I mean, I'm here in Alabama. This bait is, it's not like the Ozarks but it catches fish regardless. And it does have a different noise. You catch them in open water on it going down the bank. I think the smaller side, the 105 is a good one to me as well, but black and bone and a little translucent color. But it does have that unique sound coming through the water, and they're two totally different sounds. You're right. I don't know what it is about it, but there's definitely something to the harder tail, and I think guys are starting to catch on to it.
And then the other thing, jerkbait wise, walk me through how important are you looking for a higher jerkbait in the water column in the fall? And have you had the experience of actually getting your jerkbait below the fish and totally screwing up the bite?
Yeah. Yeah. It's key to have the whatever depth the fish are in. Like yesterday, those fish were in maybe 2 foot of 2 foot below the surface over 15, 16 foot. That's where the bass were. And this is what they wanted for sure. I threw a glide bait. I threw, the jerk shad some, but having this just erratic movement going through the water, they couldn't stand it. One thing that Justin and Lucas, when I say Justin, but he did this past year, and he actually just had a YouTube video on it, was talking just about the pound line. He went up to 15-pound line, and I see a lot of good jerkbait fishermen. I'm not one of them, but something I'm going to go into next year, really, when I get in those jerkbait tournaments, I'm probably going to have 3-4 jerkbait setups, rigged up with different pound line, 12 to, you could even throw 17.
Wow.
Or 10 to 17.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to get that bait totally different. Put it in totally different areas in the water column, right? You can get this bait on 10-pound line, 8-pound line. It's going to slow sink. It's going to get down there. You throw it on that heavy line, you're looking at, it's going to be right below the surface.
Flora.
Yeah, fluoro. But 15-pound line, you want to keep that bait up over them at all times. You get this bait below them, they will not bite. And it's just, so having the right pound test, I feel like is more key than anything. You can always put suspend strips or whatever to get it down or anything like that. But different pound line, that's super key in jerkbait fishing.
Honestly, I mean, you obviously know that from cranking, but I always was like, oh, you'll have like a deep diver or a different brand or anything. But like, if you got one brand in an action that they like, that makes so much sense. Have one with 10, one with 12, one with 15. Yeah. You got 3 different, and that's probably what, a 5-6 foot difference between those.
If you want to, like if I went down to Florida or something, I was like, I wanted to keep the bait really up over hydrilla or something like that. If you were smart, you could have one with 15-pound mono, 20-pound mono, and that bait is really going to stay up. and it may even float. It's probably going to slow float. So definitely having different pound lines and having a lot of setups rigged, you could really get one that's running.
It's almost like technology has almost hindered the jerkbait game, because we're talking about perfectly suspended baits with sharp dart cuts. But what you're talking about is basically old school floating rogue fishing, where you got that rogue that barely casts. But I remember back in the day, like on Toledo Bend and stuff like that, like you'd jerk it down and then, or a G11 rapple up in Canada is the first time I ever did anything like that when I was a kid, and jerk it down and let it float up, and it's only going a foot or two below the surface.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you can do all, I mean, technology, it's going to tell you where that bait's at in the water column too. So
I like it.
Something to think about.
I like it. I need to get some more jerk. What do you, when you're scoping or live active targeting, you're an active target guy, right?
I am.
When you're active targeting fish on a jerk bait, what is the right rod to be doing that with?
I don't know what the right rod, I'll tell you what I use, but I'm not pitching it by any way.
No,
but
I'm asking.
I do like the rod I have from Abu. The length is the key.
Yeah.
I got a signature rod. It's a 6'8".
Rod.
Short. That's the one thing with the jerkbait. When I get over like that 6'10", I'm not a real tall guy, but I want something. I mean, 6'8", even 6'6", something where you're not even getting close to the water with, or getting close to hitting anything, the boat deck, anything when you're snapping it. And you want something that's not going to wear you out all day too. If you have like a 7-footer or whatever, a high 6, it's gonna work you to death. So short.
Okay.
Short is better.
Are you a believer in a softer rod because of so many of those fish that hit it closer to the boat as they follow it, or are you just a standard jerk bait?
Yeah, I don't like a real soft rod. I just like to have power with any rod I'm using, if I happen to hook up with a big fish, I'm going to actually control it. I feel like if you're just, using a limp noodle, you just have no control.
That's some truer words have never been said.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you. No, I'll have to try it because I've been using a 7-foot medium heavy cranking rod.
He says I use a 6'6" and I'm 6'1". So yeah, I like that. 6'6", mine's a 6'8". Anything around that is definitely ideal.
All right, you got anything else? I heard the kiddo woke up from the nap, I think, or is about to go down for the nap. You're such a good dad before. You're getting everything set up, holding it, you get the whole this. It was impressive to see.
Man, they grow up quick. I mean, he just turned 2. I mean, he's running, he's jumping, he's throwing boulders in the lake. I mean, he's not like a baby. Like he's not like that anymore. I mean, he's like throwing trees in the water.
Savage.
Dude, he's a savage.
Is he into fishing?
He's a stomp. Yeah, he is into fishing. Imagine that. He's got his own little fishing rod. And
15 years? He's 15 years from being with you on tour.
Yeah. I don't know.
How old will you be in 15 years? 45?
15 years. Well, 15 years, he's going to be 17. So he's not going to be on the pro tour.
Yes, he will. That'll be the average age by then.
Okay, well, in 15 years, I'll be 47, 48.
Oh, yeah, you'll be in your prime. He'll be on tour. It'll be like a Marty and Marshall Robinson scenario.
Yeah, maybe. If he's smart, he won't go that route, but we'll see. He's a smart kid.
All right, well, I greatly appreciate it. Like I said, you didn't have to come on. You didn't have to talk about any of that. Greatly appreciate that you did. Got a little bit of fish in there at the end. And I
enjoyed it.
I didn't realize there was so much to talk about in the industry, but like I said, we got through an hour of that stuff and hadn't even gotten to the tips and tricks. But I think it's applicable because, dude, you've experienced like all sorts of different unique scenarios in this sport. It's actually really incredible in the 12 to 13 years that people have known who Jordan Lee is. I mean, you've accomplished and experienced and been a part of so much. to be so young still. So, I mean, every time a new topic came up, it was like, oh, well, you're a great guy to talk about this. So, and you're being recognized by your peers as well. A lot of guys at the top of the fishing, a lot of guys I know, just on a personal level, have been like, dude, like watching you kind of grow up in front of them.
Yeah.
The guy is like, oh, cool, a Bassmaster Classic, to like what you're doing with sponsors and getting involved with the business side. And yeah, the guys are really, there's a lot of guys that really root for you and are very, you have a lot of respect. As you know.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that's something I never take that for granted. So I appreciate that. That means more than anything, supporters and just by your peers.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Jordan. Appreciate it.
Appreciate the viewers. Thank y'all.
All right. See ya. All right. That was Jordan Lee. We're going to take our final break. When we come back, a little bit of life perspective. You guys know that I've been involved at the club level since I was 12 years old with the Assumption Bass Club, and got some really tough news over the weekend about an angler that I've always really looked up to. So BTO on a Monday, and we'll be back right after this.
Are you looking to install your own fishing electronics? The solution is the Bass Tank Power Harness. It takes the guesswork out of installation. No more voltage issues or interference. Designed by an engineer so that you can get professional results right there in your own garage. Installation done right with the help of the Bass Tank Power Harness. You can feel confident knowing that your installation was done right. The Bass Tank Power Harness. Give us a call or order yours today at thebasstank.com.
Get the best patterns backed by tournament data. Start by finding the best 10% of your lake. Know exactly what to look for and what to throw. After that, just put them in the boat. Try the Deep Dive app today.
Look at that beast right there.
All right, we're back. We're wrapping things up on BTL, and I don't really go into a lot of sometimes do go into personal information on the show, but if you guys know a lot of my story or any of the story, I kind of got into this whole deal through the Bassmaster Casting Kids, and when I was 12 and 13 years old, the Assumption Bass Club was at the Decatur Sports Expo, the fishing expo, and they had the Casting Kids contest there. It was ran by Bass. I believe it was Helen Sevier that started the Casting Kids program. This was back, it's the Wrangler Angler. It was the late 90s. Anyway, I qualified through the local. I ended up going all the way to the nationals, but my host club was the Assumption Bass Club. And as a result, there were some anglers in the club, a number of anglers, Darren Gage, John Schusler, John Ader, Todd Bates, Louis Logan, Kendall, Doug Foster, Doc. It was basically your Harry and Charlie bass fishing club that really got me hooked in it. And they took a 13-year-old kid who had never fished a tournament or had fished one tournament and said, yeah, you can come fish the club with us. You don't even have to be a member of Bass. I know we're not 16 years old. And I took tackle boxes and rods and all sorts of stuff, and we'd go to Joanne's and Mike's Tackle and get bags of worms and stuff, and really looked forward to the fishing as a co-angler. And I guarantee you they did not look forward to me fishing with them as a co-angler, but everyone was fantastic in that club growing up. Really kind of gave me the passion for tournament fishing, and the reason that I've been able to make a career in the industry and a fish in the opens goes back to the Assumption Bass Club members saying, hey, come and fish with us, taking me under their wing, teaching me how to fish tournaments. So I'm forever indebted and grateful for that. And as the year passed, you come back year after year. Well, one of the guys on the club that I, really looked up to, it was actually my first chatterbait experience. The chatterbait didn't exist, but it existed. But at Mike's Tackle, and thinking of Joanne at Mike's Tackle, if you guys have heard about that or watched Baxter the Baitman's video of Mike's Tackle World, you need to go do that. It's one of the most legendary tackle shops in the country. Happens to be in Decatur, Illinois, where I grew up. Joanne going through some health issues there. So if if you're in that area, stop by and give her a hug or give her some encouraging words. Long story short, they had the Venom knockoff of the chatterbait. This was before they got sued for it, or all of the companies. I don't know if this one did specifically, but I picked it up, and I remember we were on Shelbyville, and I drew Todd Bates, one of the guys in the club who always was dueling it out for the club championship. And I got him down on that chatterbait on stumps. But as the years passed, I fished with Todd, always looked up to him. He started a jig company, Triple B Jigs, in Taylorville, Illinois, where he was a dominant angler, dominant tournament angler, really liked by everybody in the tournament. Well, liked if you like to finish second. And when I kind of started fishing at a higher level, he always would give me bags of jigs, and at Christmas we'd go home and build jigs with him. Long story short, Todd, he got sick this week with pneumonia, and in 72 hours he went from catching 5 and 6 pounders to passing away in his late 50s with a daughter that he just walked down the aisle a couple months ago, and a son who is a senior in high school. So I say all that to say, you know, we're talking about what's going on in the industry. I had the opportunity to do the St. Jude Bass Classic up in Minnesota. And it kind of reminds you that, yeah, it's all about competition too, but we're anglers first, and we are a community, and it really puts things into perspective. Just to realize what is important when it comes to fishing and family and the world we live in. So just wanted to give a little shout out to Todd. He'd be greatly missed, not only in the Central Illinois fishing community, but to everybody who knew him, and especially his family. So kind of wanted to end the show that way. Looking forward, Logan Parks tomorrow on BTL. He's going to talk about his Fishing Chaos high school and college combination tournament, and then also making the Elite Series. And then I got to be honest, where I've tried to do a regular week, we got to do Uncle Frank on Wednesday again, because I got a call. I have to see how much I can say about this. I will have a shot to catch a 12 to 15 pound largemouth on Thursday. It was a 1-day deal. So I moved the show up. I called Frank. I said, dude, I got a shot at a double-digit fish here. This is the only day I can do it. It's the only day he's got open. So I'm going to go fishing on Thursday, so no show. But big shout out to Jordan Lee. That's all I got for today. We'll talk to everybody tomorrow. See ya.